Pat. It's Pat on brands. Watch how you brand it, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting installment of the Pat on Brands podcast with Pat and
Mpumi!
last one for the year.
Last one for the year.
Can you believe it?
Yeah. It's 2022, December time.
Yep.
Hair down, sun out. I bet it was raining though.
No, it was raining.
December.
This December, it was a rainy December.
Yeah, but welcome once again to the last episode of the Pat on Brands podcast with myself, Mpumi and Pat.
Yeah, man. As you know, every year brings about opportunities, brings about exciting things, brings about also, the opposite, as we always see in the world of marketing / advertising / brands. We see some brands that are doing some really amazing work that gets us talking.
Yep.
But also we do get those brands that make us talk for all the wrong reasons.
Indeed. And today's episode is about that. We'll be reflecting on the pats and the slaps that we have given to brands. This is our opinions and also just looking at the sentiments of how people have responded to situations or brands and activities that have happened. But before we even get into that, Pat, just a quick one in terms of how are you feeling? It is December time. How's the year been? We had that in our first reloaded episode or the rebirth of the Pat on Brands podcast.
Yep.
But in just a few, maybe tell us a bit more about where you at in your mind.
In my mind, there's no resting for me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people take December out, time off. But I think for me, ever since I came to Joburg, I never got excited about December. It was, for me, I mean, as a student, for example, December was that time where I used to work, make money, I was never really a person that's excited about December, and to this day I'm still not someone who's over the moon because it's December.
It's December, boys.
I mean, for the longest time, for as long as I can remember, people get excited in December and start crying in Jan.
Wow. Polar opposite emotions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You go from being over the moon, spending to actually not having anything to eat in Jan when you had doubled your salary in December. So those things, maybe I have childhood traumas or something like that. I do not know. But what I do know is that this for me is the period to catch up on some work that I've been dreading to do in the year, particularly on the admin side, but also at the same time knowing that 2023 for us as a business is going to be a very hectic year. Also just taking that time to prepare, and to get ourselves ready. The Yobas 2023 are going to be bigger than they've ever been.
The second year of
Yobas. So we've got big plans, big ambitions for that property. For the Rato agency as well. We've got big ambitions from, client acquisition perspective and also retaining the ones that we have. So it's one of those times where you also just, but what I'm mostly excited about is that in as much as there's, I know a lot of people are on break, so there's no pressure to have meetings or anything of that sort. So I can spend more time in the gym. Also, I can spend more time with my daughter. So that's, I guess, for me, that's December.
It's a different December though now.
Yeah, I mean, actually the first one as a father.
Exactly. So it's a different December.
Yeah, so now spending time with my family, my little family. Man, that's where it's at. So I think I'll just, be in between work and obviously spending time with my family.
With family. It is important to kind of chill and just enjoy, break bread with those you love. So I hope you guys can also share what you guys are doing.
Will you be traveling?
No, Joburg bound. I might for work come in December-ish, but we'll see. But other than that, I'm homebound. I'll be between my place and home, just depending. But I'll be seeing family. That's what December, I suppose, is known for, or is really. And that's what we'll be doing in December. But other than that, doing other few, like you say, admin stuff here and there. But at least you do it sipping on like sparkling water with lemonade or something.
Absolutely,
you know, it's not the same. So so that is December. I hope you guys are going to travel safely. If you haven't traveled and still to travel by the time you're listening to the podcast.
Can I tell you something funny? I mean, in as much as I'm saying all of these things about December, me, you know, wanting to work and really, you know, just always catching up and balancing it out with family. I mean, since the Yobas in June, I've been procrastinating taking a break, and I never took a single day off.
So are you? Do you want to not take a single day off?
I don't know. Like this. I don't know. Like
almost like your DNA changes in it when you don't know. You need to wake up, read something, find something. And I think the challenge, because there's always something new.
The only time I stayed at home, it was when I was sick. But other than that, I
you don't know how.
I just couldn't. I just couldn't. Even when my daughter was born, I thought I was gonna be off.
Yeah.
A day after, boom, I was in the plane.
Yeah.
Going to Devon. So it was. Yeah, but I guess, I mean, being an entrepreneur, I find it really hard to switch off. You know, it's really, really hard to just turn off the plug, because as soon as I turn off, an idea pops up.
Yeah.
You know,
so you're always in that tune.
Yeah. I guess in 2023, perhaps that's one of my goals.
R&R, rest and recreation.
R&R, rest and restoration.
Oh, okay.
And
restoration. Okay.
But also, I mean, if I look at my plans, there's no rest between Jan and June. So that month, the first half of the year is going to be
terribly busy.
Hella hectic. I mean, the Yobas are coming up.
Yeah.
That's going to make us dance. Then we still have client work. We still have other things to do. So, yeah, hectic 2023 ahead.
Yeah. And to viewers, listeners, do make sure to enjoy your December. Do make sure to rest.
Don't be like Pat.
To make sure to rest, but do you and do what's good for you. I think also in December we've learned of people who've passed away, whether it is because of mental health issues, whether internationally or even in our local market. And I think it is quite sad to know that we're a joy, and then next minute a person is not well, is not okay. So do make sure to do that health check. Make sure you are mentally okay, you are physically okay, emotionally okay, spiritually okay. Do that check-in for yourself, check in with friends, check in with family. Make sure to see, you know, the temperatures of who you are and where you're at. But that's December. Right, and we've said it's been a good year. In our episode that we did a few episodes ago, we did say that we've spoken about audacity this year. We've spoken about finding oneself or being self or selfishly selfless. I don't know how to put it, but I think that makes sense. We've also spoken about dreaming big. Nothing is normal. So we've spoken about really being these big individuals in a very big world. So now we're going to look at these brands that we're saying have deserved a slap for this year.
Absolutely.
The song Chisampama. This is the tune that should be going with a couple of these brands that we're going to be discussing.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest one, and I know some viewers are going to be like, but why? Because of the ads that they put out. They're doing some really cool advertising, but at the core of this brand, I think there's something that's wrong. And that brand is Chicken Licken. Chicken Licken always going out for the small restaurateurs, who use the word soulful, or soul in their marketing communications. And they claim that obviously this is in breach of their trademark. But to be honest, if you are a giant chicken like Chicken Licken, why should you be going for the young I mean, for the small businesses out there, corner shop, in Morningside somewhere that uses the word soul in their marketing comms. I think it's a bit bullish.
As an advocate of small businesses and entrepreneurs and SMMEs, I get it, but I also get the bigger gun, like the bigger businesses in terms of what would they be protecting.
Of course.
By virtue of them being the soul food brand, they have brand equity of which they would want to protect. And I'd like to believe if we're building brands that we're saying you get into an opportunity, and why we actually do this podcast and have conversations is so that we can actually teach businesses on what law means.
Absolutely.
How protecting a brand looks like and all of that. So if we're teaching or we're getting experts to come and educate us on those things, it's only fair that we have case studies firstly, and unfortunately
but also what's interesting with the chicken Licken thing is that they always lose. They lose the cases. I mean,
I suppose.
Now in November there's another one that a court decided against them. So I mean, what's the point really when we in our economy we're striving for small businesses and we believe that small businesses are the next job creators or are actually the current job creators. So if you're a big brand like that, then if you believe in this country, why should you be going for the small guys?
I think that maybe there's a way in which they could incubate them.
Probably.
But I still
But also these guys don't need their incubation. They just want to do their marketing and build their own brands.
But then don't you soul food? Don't you soul? Soul is mine.
But we all have souls. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you have souls, but you don't have soul food.
What's soul food about the spicy chicken?
Anyway, number 2. We're going into our government. We're going into parastatals. We're going into... We know now we have schedules of how you must charge. Make sure everything is charged up. You must make sure that you are downloading things beforehand. You must know that what are you doing through the dark time. And that is Eskom.
Eskom gets a massive slap.
Yeah. So even recording these episodes, guys, we've had a problem where we had to stop and start because of
load shedding.
So for those who actually work with international companies, or you kind of are sitting in a meeting and then you kind of have to explain that, guys, at a certain time it could just there could be a problem. But we've also learned that there's some international countries also that have.
I mean, Eskom had. I mean, did I say Eskom? I think the UK also had a power issue. I think the US also had a power issue. Actually, what's happening right now, it's a norm up West Africa. When I was in Nigeria, 80% of the time there was no power. We relied on, obviously, inverters and generators and all of that. And I think it's just a sad state of affairs that we find ourselves in and where we're heading as a country. And I mean, look, the CEO recently resigned.
Yeah.
And man, it's... we find ourselves in a very tight position.
Yeah. And it does affect, I think, businesses, especially those that don't have generators or can't afford generators. If they can't do business, it means that they've lost out on that sale, whether it's because network also becomes a problem. So this really impacts, I think, livelihoods beyond what we think. Hospitals also, it's something that we've had a conversation about, to say that now hospitals, government hospitals, generators, and all of those things do impact on our lives. Whilst we're looking at it in my house, oh my gosh, but there's a bigger impact to the fact that there's no electricity.
Yeah, I think this is a well-deserved slap on the side of Eskom, and really a big disadvantage to anyone. I mean, the guy who be editing this video, is affected.
I mean, from printing, printing days have kind of had to take double time. Absolutely. I know one of our neighbors who's has a printing shop. Kind of has to either work in the AMs or
in awkward
hours, just so that to make. And the thing is, it's machines, so it first needs to load up, then start the job,
and to get the machine running also takes up a lot of power. It's expensive to keep the machines running, and this
on and off.
It is on and off. You lose on some efficiencies.
So it is affecting quite a lot. Affecting quite a lot, but also still within government, still within politics. We have our third one, which is the ANC.
Ah, man.
So we have the ANC. We don't know. Our president is chilling, guys, living his best life.
Yep.
Yet everything is happening around him. But
Absolutely.
I'm not wrong, but I didn't know what was going on. So,
and I think what's happening within the ruling party and ANC as a brand, I think it's like the notion. There's an author who traveled, I think, from Cape Town to Nigeria, or actually has traveled throughout the continent, and he said the most interesting part about Lagos in Nigeria is that, everything seems to be working. And if you've been to Lagos, you know that it's actually very chaotic. It's just movement everywhere. And it says the most interesting part is that things seem to be working there, and the problem is that no one knows how everything just.
I always love to say that it's so tight knit there that even when there's an accident and it's not personal. We bump, we get out, we get in the car, we move.
Oh, okay.
Like, you don't take 2
hours,
3 hours waiting for the police, for the cops. Oh my gosh,
No.
shock. I was shocked when I was there, and I was we bump, we then oh God, why you are doing it? And then we in the car, then we go. I was like, okay, efficiency.
There's no calling insurance or tow truck. I mean, in South Africa, the whole highway will get blocked for just a small bump. A small dent on the bumper. The whole. I mean, we'll have a 2-hour delay on the M1. So so I mean, look, the ANC brand really, and now we looking at it from a brand perspective, not necessarily on a political lens. And I mean, really, it's one that is marred with so many, I'd say, I don't say disasters, but just so many challenges. This is a brand that every now and then you hardly hear anything positive about it.
Yep.
And I think this year was just that year as well.
Yeah. If anything could go wrong, it went wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now as we're recording this episode, there's a conference happening. We don't know what's gonna be
the outcome.
But at the core of it, this is one brand that's sort of cannibalizing itself.
Yeah. But
also on the receiving end, it's us. All the decisions that this brand makes.
Yeah, will affect us. That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Now, going into Christmas, I know that, come end of November, after Black Friday, Christmas stuff kind of are sitting there from November. They're just sitting there.
It's just hanging.
But after Black Friday...
You're talking about that, right? I saw a meme that says, we know it's December, right? But deep down, Pep is thinking about advertising
school shoes.
That was quite funny.
But that is true. From a marketing perspective, we already have a marketing calendar that come back to school
on the 1st of Jan.
Mahlangu stationery,
Ads are flighting.
Come Feb, it's Valentine's. Come March, it's
Good Friday.
Yeah, Easter. So we were always. Unfortunately, if you didn't think now that we're already ahead,
Yeah.
So Black Friday, then comes Christmas, and I know some of the conversations or the funny memes would be by November, guys, really? Like Christmas trees are up, you know, all of those stuff. And we're going to talk about Checkers 60.
The drivers, the bikers.
Yeah, and them, in their Christmas regalia, if you call it. And having these little Christmas men, like, bringing your gifts to you.
Giving your food or your groceries.
Here's your food. So, I don't know. I personally, and I think maybe it just looks what's the word? Disingenuous. It's these men in, like...
Black men to begin
with like, a Christmas, Father Christmas, wakona. They just picked... I was just like, it looks tacky. It doesn't look refreshing. It doesn't look.
It's hideous.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. It leaves a bad taste, I think.
Absolutely, but also at the same time, within a South African context, it's summer, it's hot.
Yeah.
And you're making these people wear. Yeah, it's and also, I mean, look, we know there's snowing really like.
I don't know. I mean, we Father Christmas and Kosher. I don't even know if kids in South Africa know or believe in Father Christmas or even know. I suppose we know of, but it doesn't. There's no sentiment to it.
Absolutely, and also on the branding side as well, particularly with the millennials looking at this, they're like, they don't. There's no empathy towards the bikers like that being considerate to say, look, it's hot, and whatnot, and also from a safety perspective.
I mean, you can imagine.
I don't know, maybe underneath there they're wearing those safety.
I'm sure they are, but it's big, it's bulky. You're on a bike. Things are not supposed to be lingering.
Yeah.
Now it's
because the next thing there will be a bumper that's sticking out of a taxi, and it's
the hook.
And it hooks. It's not funny,
yeah,
but hey, I'm sure you can get the picture, right?
Yeah, but yeah, that's that. I know our last one, which is a slap, is the brand Balenciaga.
Yeah, Balenciaga.
Yeah, it has been marred with, I think, a lot more sexual.
I mean, the use of kids.
Yeah, use of kids, pornography, etc., etc. I mean, look, we've international brands have been known, whether your Nikes, and all those different types where they use child labor. So these big brands have been known to have this.
Have a reputation.
Yeah, they have a reputation of some sort. Sure, I don't know that.
I don't know Balenciaga, so I'm like, you know what?
And not because I'm not aware of all of that, but I think it's such a mammoth issue that I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah, but obviously all these brands, when they get caught out, what do they say?
They'll say it's not them half the time, or they can find PR ways to
say you're sorry.
to figure it out. Even if they say they're sorry, they still continue.
Yeah. True nature of
I suppose. But Borderline, we have a Borderline brand. We've discussed this before on our podcast.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a contentious one. I know Pat is... He's I don't know, you're a fan. I can't even remember. I was trying to remember. You're a fan or not a fan, but
of
with
what?
Adidas and Kanye West.
Yeah.
We haven't decided if it's a pat or a slap, just because I think...
What do you think? I think more than anything, at the core of this one is obviously Kanye, and I think Adidas is not the only brand that sort of
cancelled.
Yeah. Cancelled Kanye. There's been other brands that sort of followed suit, but at the same time, man, it's a bit of a touch and go, that, I mean, we've and I think brands do this so well, whenever there's sort of controversies surrounding a certain individual, they quick to pull the plug,
Tiger Woods,
and
many more,
and many more. I mean, but then again, at the same time, what makes this one quite interesting is that it seems, that there's certain groupings of people that cannot be talked about, because if you look at it from historically, I mean, there's been stuff that has been said about, I'd say black people, and even campaigns and like racism up, but there's never any consequences. Or any
actions taken.
Any drastic actions are being taken. And now in this particular case, we're just seeing extreme actions being taken. And one can say, but I don't know. But like we say, it's borderline. We're not saying what Kanye said is right, but also at the same time, we're not saying
what Adidas did.
Is right. You know? But also, what I do know is that history will always remember. No, we'll remember this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So without, of course, I mean, we've spoken about the bad, the good, the bad, the ugly.
No, we spoke about the bad. Now we're going to the good.
We're going to the good.
We're going to the good now.
And of course, we end, this year in this episode with talking about the brands that did good, that deserved pats on the back.
Yeah, these are brands that had no respect for the norm.
Yeah, that did things audaciously,
Yes.
outrageously so.
Yes.
And the first one,
before we jump, I'm saying, let me paint the picture what these brands did. These brands have no respect for the norm.
It sounds like it's a manifesto, guys.
These brands were brave enough to pull the opposite way. But even though they pulled the opposite way, they did so with pizzazz. These brands are the ones that are like, we're not going to wait.
Yeah.
You know, for the perfect moment, for the perfect time, for us to do something meaningful.
Yeah.
You know, these brands are the ones that are worth a pat.
Mm-hmm. And the first one, we've had the guest here.
Yeah.
With us.
Yeah.
The CMO of that brand.
Yeah.
And it is Tastic, guys.
Yeah. We had the brand director.
Oh, brand director.
Yeah.
Correction.
Point of correction.
Brand director of Tastic.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, maybe we can tell you a bit about what Tastic has been doing this year.
Yeah.
Before we talk about, product development, they had an amazing festival this year.
Yes.
In November.
In November, yes, in November, beginning November. Yeah,
and this festival was almost the old meets new type of festival where it was a celebration of heritage.
Absolutely.
It had the brand ambassador Thandiswa Mazwai, who was the lead of that festival. Guys, it had Pratebe. Yep. I mean, there was a point we were not sure. I mean, the calories that came off of that dance moves.
Yeah.
We had Zoe Mudicha. Yeah. There was Maskandi, the family.
Hashelim
Mhlope. The guys, it was an amazing lineup of old meets new. Absolutely. On stage.
But also to add to that, it was for a good cause.
I wanted to say, so whilst we were enjoying this festival, it was a good cause and it was about education. Yes. It was to take kids to school. Anything or contributions, towards that were built for that, is that they were going to take kids or they're going to take kids to school. So it is beautiful to see these brands having actual
absolutely causes. And also one could say, what does a rice brand have to do with music?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's what building a brand is about.
Yeah.
It's about, challenging the norm. It's about, doing things that sometimes at first really don't make sense, but in the long run do make sense for the business. So it's really about making rice cool. Remember, rice is a commodity after all, But here's a brand that's really doing something that resonate. And I think they've done this also consistently so over the years. Yeah. If you think about it.
Yeah. And it's perfect every time.
Of course.
That's what it says. It's perfect every time. So even with that, I think it's an opportunity. I mean, you can imagine music and food. So there's always a story. There's always a journey.
Absolutely.
And over and above that, though, they introduced rice cakes for those who are rice fans. I mean, something that you probably is like mind-blowing to say, of course, it's rice, guys. Why? Why do they have rice cakes? And I had the delicious, I think they crisps, they rice cakes.
Yeah.
And rice cakes. So if you haven't
also from an innovation perspective, I'll put it then. Yeah. But also it was also, I think for me, looking at it from afar, it's also like a natural progression.
Exactly. Exactly. That is Tastic.
Yeah.
Number 2, we're gonna go to cars. Pat, remind us what cars you tested this year.
This year I didn't test
much.
From
POB Motoring.
I didn't test much.
Yeah.
I made a decision that, look, I'd rather make money that can afford me to... to buy any car that I want instead of testing a car for a week. You know how painful it is.
When I have to go back.
When they take that X5 competition pack.
But also on there in competition, we're going to talk about BMW and what they're doing with the Generation Joy campaign. Yeah. Pat, maybe you can tell us a bit about that. And I'm also going to touch on a bit about the M-Fest because I enjoyed it, but I can link it back to that.
Yeah, so I mean, BMW, obviously, it's a brand that has been around for so many years, and it's a brand that many of us grew up, dreaming of driving. And I know there's a lot of youngsters also dreaming about owning a BMW one day. But also, if you look at the market, there's those that can afford and those that cannot afford.
Yeah.
And most of them being the young ones but also at the same time, BMW paying homage to the millennials and the Gen Zs, So the whole campaign was about tapping into that market.
Sure.
And also their manifesto, which I think was quite brilliant. If you have time, go to YouTube and type in, don't do it now, just after finishing this episode. Go to YouTube and actually search for BMW Generation Joy, and you'll see the video and the campaign itself and the manifesto, which was beautifully produced, which really speaks about, I think the opening line, they say we're the ones we've been waiting for, something along those lines, but really celebrating and acknowledging the moves that young people make that are audacious, that are out of the norm, but also at the same time, obviously, inviting Generation Y as Generation Z. Is it Z's or Z? Okay, Generation Z. To the brand to say, here's a brand that understands you. Yes, you are not rich yet, but we see you and come with us, journey with us in this life. I think it's a beautiful campaign. Also, it did not only live on digital platforms. It was also executed out of home. Also paying for the first time. I think the brand has, using black females, using black people predominantly on the ads, because usually what these cars, especially the OEMs, what they tend to do is to plug and play ads that are produced in Europe and just put them on our TVs, on our billboards, and off it goes. And this one was BMW South Africa, paying homage to the local market and using faces that a lot of us can relate to.
And I think also speaking on that, we've also just seen, just to add a bit on that, in terms of mediums, whether we're using TV, movies, within that, etc. But having representation is very important, even in books. Is that, I can resonate with it, a kid can resonate with it because I've seen it before. So it's not too far-fetched. I can achieve because I've seen. So that's pretty awesome. Whilst we're at it, I remember being at the M-Fest, and there was a whole line of people kind of having an opportunity to sit in the vehicles. So in my mind, I thought, we're driving them, Little did I know when I went and I saw, I was like, oh, no, you're not driving? There's drivers? I was like, okay, fine.
When you're going to crash a 2 million rent car.
No, I was going to drive it. I was going to test drive.
But you're going on the track?
Yeah, so they take you on a track and you go. Yeah, and the line was too long. I just couldn't do that. But besides that, though, I think looking at all the number of individuals where there definitely aren't people who can afford it now, because it's either maybe a Gen Z market, and so forth. And like you say, 2 million rand. If you're not buying it cash, it's on credit. And credit, also, we know that, do you qualify? Absolutely. So all of those considerations, taken into account. But I think for me, looking at that is that I loved how... I don't think it was a conversion. The KPI is not conversion for that, but it was for you to kind of have an aspiration.
Of course.
I would have loved for them to have VR also to add to that, because then at least it would have alleviated that. Like I'm saying, you're sitting in the car, but at least VR, you almost are in that position to drive. We've seen these cars, you take pictures, you feel the leather, the music, the sound system, and so forth, but they create that nostalgic feeling.
Absolutely.
BMW also is known within our community from a Gusheshe perspective.
Yeah, like so I say, most of us grew up aspiring. The 3 Series has been the car that a lot of us imagined, and I think imagined ourselves driving one day. I think at the core I am a BMW fan, and I've had the privilege, or the rare privilege, of driving some of their top notch cars. But man, like every time when you get off that thing, you're like, okay, I need to go work harder.
You need to go work harder. So whoever's a BMW fan, shout out to you. I think that brand does deserve a pat. Our third brand is Legends Baba. For those of you guys who have fades and black dyes, nama chiseled ndondoni, nama durag and all, and wave king.
Pity I don't qualify anymore because wow.
But for all of you guys who know Legend Baba, of course,
Yep.
this brand has grown from strength to strength. And also, I think they had Ricky Rick as an ambassador.
Oh yes, Ricky Rick also owned the franchise.
Yeah, owned the franchise. So this is a brand that kind of it's not just about cutting hair anymore, but it is an actual brand, and now they have a training center,
which is amazing, and also again natural progression. Also seeing the need. We say unemployment.
Yeah.
How bringing the next generation of people that will work in the beauty industry.
Correct.
Does haircuts also qualify as beauty?
Yeah, it is. It falls within the beauty industry.
So look, it's really great what Sheldon. How many stores now? I think
I don't know, but I didn't even know they're sitting at 989K, almost 1 million on Instagram.
Sure.
I didn't
massive.
A fade.
Yeah.
Is that important? now we know.
But yeah, I think Sheldon, he's built a great business there, and I think anyone can buy a franchise. So if you're looking to invest,
that's something to invest.
That's something to invest in.
We'll always have hair. We'll always want to cut.
Yeah.
Matokta maningi. You know what I mean? Then we have one, and this one I don't know. We kind of missed it. It was supposed to fall under the borderline and not necessarily in the pats.
Yeah.
But F&B, I think what we can pat them for is having engineered a whole rebranding with, like Izolo, we saw tree today. They are with that. Today they've cut off leaves and all of that. The changeables, but I think the changeables has always been there because it started last year actually.
I think they did a soft
slow
launch.
Yeah, it was soft launch and progressed to what we've seen now. But with the new brand and the brand positioning is that it's this agile business and they're positioning as a flexible, easy access banking, lifestyle banking. It really has been that. I think whilst you probably cry about the banking fees and whatever, it really has been a brand which lives by its position to say that, guys, whether you're flying, whether you want to use a slow lounge, whether it's easy access, you have accessibility to so much and to so many things. So you don't really complain that much.
But also, at the same time, and I think brands like obviously F&B, and sometimes it's really also hard to see the difference.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, I've been with them since I started banking, and it's like,
Yeah, it's a marginal difference. There isn't too much, because I don't know. I just saw my bank app change, but I can't tell you what exactly is it, but maybe we'll see it over time.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm still waiting for my credit card for the business that I applied for many months ago.
Mhlambe ke UPS hate, not necessarily Mpumi. Guys, no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But that is our third or fourth one. And youth brands now.
Yeah, I think, the last one, we just want to give a pat to all the youth-owned brands in the country that are ruffling some feathers, that are challenging the norm, that have no respect for the status quo.
Yeah.
We've seen some amazing brands, not only because they won the Yoba, but these brands really, in their own right, they've really challenged the norm. They really pushed the envelope, and I think just top of mind, Mpumi, if you look at a brand like Hermosa Flow, or should I say Hermosa Flow?
Yep.
By Koja Mbali. Sorry guys, the cameraman is laughing. That I don't know why he's laughing, but really at the core of this brand, we not only that they won a Yoba, but now having a pop-up shop in Durban.
Oh, Durban, sorry.
having another pop-up shop in Cape Town, but also like it's just
they're
an
also
all-round
at
beautiful
VR Egg
brand.
and Rosebank, guys.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely amazing to watch these brands. We can't forget, your Drips and your Batus being
Of course,
in
in
Sandton now.
Yeah.
We've spoken about Delivery Speed.
Yeah, I mean, where Batu is in Sandton is along the Diamond Walk.
Yeah.
I mean, just the audacity, I guess.
Yeah.
That these young brands have and really pushing
and penetrating markets which
Yeah.
kind of would have taken a lot longer. I mean, you can imagine, guys, in a mall, I always say that there's a difference between being in unique, bespoke, what is it, thingy strip malls,
Yeah.
where there's not an expectation for sales revenue that is, it's
Yeah.
like but
Yeah.
these brands have found themselves at, like I say, these upmarket places,
Yeah.
meaning that we are not even, I don't want to call it support, we are purchasing and becoming patriotic, but also it means that these brands are sitting at a point where there's competition, proper
Absolutely.
competition,
I mean, looking at a brand like Deliver Speed, fresh out of Hammanskraal.
yeah,
With over now 10,000
subscribers,
users, of the platform, now in multiple townships across the province.
Yeah.
Here's a brand again born in a time of high uncertainty.
Yeah.
But already making great strides.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible what Khudiragits is doing with this brand and his team. But yeah, so this is a pet. I mean, Skinny Swoo going to the Grammys.
Yeah, indeed. Guys, I didn't even...
Skinny Swoo socks.
Yeah,
being included in the goodie bags for the Grammys.
Your Tebe Magugu has been on Forbes, if I'm not mistaken, or was named
Vogue.
Vogue rather.
Yeah.
So all these brands, these youth brands, guys, who are growing.
These are young people.
Day by day, bit by bit. And yeah, I think the beauty about these
Rich
brands.
Missy,
You know what I love about these brands?
And also excuse our bias if you're just mentioning mostly clothing brands, because they're the ones that are sort of out there, and we know that there are also other young people that are doing incredible work in agriculture.
Yeah.
For example, if you look at Metapluven Holdings.
Tongue twister.
The tongue twister.
Yeah.
I tell you. That Mapula is working on it. Look at Suela Wines. These are brands that are championed by young people.
Yeah. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to everybody who is working on who is a youth and working on brands.
Absolutely.
We are sitting, waiting. Not even bench sitting. We are actively supporters, cheerleading. To see your success story. To also see that we build this nation one day at a time.
Absolutely, and also I'll be making a mistake if I don't mention this brand.
Yeah.
I think it will be a travesty.
Is this pattern brands?
No.
Oh.
I never talk about
Okay.
Tepo.
Yeah.
Tepo, the overall top youth on brand in South.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful brand. It's amazing what this brand has managed to
achieve,
accomplish. If you walk into their store in Hyde Park, you'll understand what I'm talking about. World class. The quality of the clothing is just amazing, out of this world.
Yeah.
Also from a tech perspective, when you look at a brand like Green Scooters, stunning brand, innovating, also in a market that's very not easy to enter. And here's a young person to say, look, watch me do it.
Yeah.
It's incredible that these youngsters are doing, and I think more than anything, this generation is not the generation of the tenders.
Yeah.
This is a generation of creators. And I think we need to give ourselves a pat. And I know it's not easy starting a brand from scratch, starting something that's bigger than you. But you guys, are an inspiration. I was thinking the other day, I was like, like we take for granted, the people that pioneer certain industries.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you look at what Theo Baloyi did, with Batu, he gave birth indirectly to so many other shoe brands. If you think about it, it was unthinkable that a young person can start a sneaker brand, in South Africa. But if you look now, the many brands that are emerging, there's Abo Iteki, Komani now also has a sneaker.
Block, I saw yesterday.
There's Block. There's so many brands that are coming up. What ideally, and if I was sitting in a position of power and I was the president of this country, actually I would start not only thinking but starting to incubate or creating a manufacturing hub for sneakers. Because that's where it's at. Now we're having a lot of these young brands coming up. Then why are we not setting up factories to produce sneakers? And who knows, these guys here in South Africa are inspiring other guys in the rest of the continent. To say, then South Africa produces the sneakers for the continent. And in that way, through the intra-Africa trade, we have a whole market, that we can serve. Yeah. And I think if nothing happens in the next year or two in that particular space from just a manufacturing perspective and creating a manufacturing hub, like similar to what the automobile industry has done. Like if you look at Pretoria in Roslyn, as a manufacturing hub for cars. If you look at Etinaga, in the Eastern Cape, which is a manufacturing hub for cars. Why don't we have that? Because now our young people have demonstrated that they can build brands that can be globally competitive. Then why not create that infrastructure to enable them to innovate more? Yeah,
sure. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But we do hope that we'll get to that point.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that wraps up our session of brands that we slapped, that are borderline, and those that we've pat over the course of 2022.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to end it on this note to say, look, to all you brand builders, we're watching you, and what this platform will do is to celebrate those that are brave enough to start something.
Yeah, so to the unthinkables, to the innovators, creators, we are vouching for you guys. And we're super excited for what 2023 has to bring. New brands that will be seen now, those who will have their breakthroughs.
Yes.
So we're really excited, and I can't wait to see how the Yobas, what is going to be which brands are going to be on the Yobas.
Yeah. So we want you guys to partake in the top 16 Youth Owned Brands Awards. We'll be launching them soon in Jan as we enter the new year. Really also want to give a lot of people time to enter this time around.
Guys, if anything, make sure my finances are ready. Guys, make sure you're ready. So by the time voting happens, you understand?
Absolutely. By the time nominations open, you are ready.
Yeah.
And also by the time voting starts,
you win.
Yeah.
So, for those who will be listening, whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, but engage with us. We can't wait for what Pattern Brands has to bring, or the podcast has to bring.
As you can hear, dogs are barking.
Now even dogs are barking. Zinja. The game. For 2023, we can't wait to share more on this platform. So for myself, I say goodbye to you guys. Have a beautiful festive season. See you in 2023.
For me, Pat Mahlangu, I just want to say happy festive season, and also stay safe, guys. See you in 2023.
Goodbye.
Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the brand. If it's enormous, flawless, gorgeous, don't be cautious, cordless. Making a move, making a hustle, on and making a borders. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the brand.